What's up, guys? These are 5 mistakes I still see producers make every time. Mistake number 1 is not having a system for your mixdown. It's very easy to get lost while you're doing your mixes. There is no structure, no plan on how to tackle a mixdown. My system is as follows. I usually start with the melodic drop. That part is usually the most delicate, the part where you can do the most damage. So what I'll do first is level my kick to -10. That's just a guideline. I'm not too exact with the decibel numbers or anything. A level that has enough room above it, because we're going to stack the rest of the mix on top of that. Look at the kick as your baseline for the track. Then I will group my leads and put everything on top of the kick in reference to the level of the kick so that that is balanced nicely together. From there, I will move over to the break and I will leave the level of the lead. I will not adjust it louder, softer to make it work in the break. I'll just leave that constant throughout the whole track. From there, I will level my basses in the break and then I'll fill in the mid part. So the strings, pads, plucks, all that kind of stuff. Now you already have a few big steps that are now in the right order. From there, I will mute the lead and try to level the vocal based on top of the bass line. And the plucks, strings, all that kind of stuff. That's already a big framework for your mixdown. From there, you can check the level of your build-ups leading into the drop. Then you have your level of your crashes, FX, all that kind of stuff. That will also be the same, consistent throughout the whole track. Try to not have too much balancing going on throughout the mix. So if your vocal is too loud there and too soft over there, then there's a balance issue. Try to look at the bigger picture, the big things. So leads, kicks, vocals, groups of things, FX and basses, and try to level those, and then you zoom in on the small parts and see that you get them balanced correctly. Build a system and go from there. Mistake number 2 is not using the advantage of soft clipping. Now, clipping in a lot of cases sounds like a bad thing. It's clipping, destroyed, that's not good. But soft clipping is a whole different kind of thing. We can use soft clipping to control peaks, to also saturate, but we can also use it in a very clean way to just take control of peaks and transients. I have the project of Starlight Rhythm in front of me, and I'm just going to show you what I mean. This is now, you will see the analyzer that's just on the lead group. I'll just show you. Now you can very clearly see there are a lot of spikes, which is normal because there are layers on top of each other. This is the whole lead group. There's compression going on. There is like a screech inside of it that's very snappy. There is chords, a lot of stuff happening. Now all these peaks will trigger my limiter when I'm going to master the track, and they will just take up precious headroom. In this case, soft clipping would be perfect to just chop off all those peaks to a certain level, not too much because then it will start to saturate. But I will just show you by using standard clip, my favorite clipper. If I would just lower the clip level, look at this like a ceiling. I'm just lowering it and everything that will go above it will just be chopped off. So let's see what we can do. And then in the meantime, you can see the result in this window also here, but this is a bit more clear. So let me lower the clip level. Now, very obvious, you can see the level is a lot better now. I just chopped off the peaks, then I can gain that level back in. So I'm winning headroom, I'm taking control of the transients, and that will save me a lot of issues later on. Also, make sure you do this with drums, transients of drums. So if you have a kick that's already like nice and clipped, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna add a little transient, that will cause a huge spike. That will also trigger your limiter. Or snares, if you're using like heavy dubstep kind of snares, crashes with a lot of transients. You can also use a soft clipper on the master and just say like, okay, I'll just chop off everything. But I'm a big fan of already keeping that under control in the mixing process on the separate groups. This will be a lot easier and it will save you a lot of headache down the line. Mistake number 3 is thinking about putting things louder instead of making room for them or putting other things softer. It would be very logical to say, I have this lead playing here, then after 8 bars, I want to put the vocal over it. Hey, that vocal is now not loud enough. Let me turn the vocal up louder. I'm usually more a fan of the opposite, and that is to create room for the vocal and leave the vocal as a constant. What I would do is just lower the lead a little bit to make room for it. So in this case, I will demonstrate. You can barely notice it because the lead is so big and there's so much happening around the lead. So what I would do in this case is just lower that lead. Maybe 1.5 dB would be good already. So I would lower it exactly at the point where the vocal starts. So then that's also not that noticeable. So you can see I lowered it by 1.7 dB. Doesn't have to be exact. And that already creates a lot more room for the vocal to stand out. Also in this case, this vocal is like a pitched female, very delicate kind of vocal. So yeah, she's not that powerful to stand out of the mix. What I would also give as a little tip, this is a bit more advanced. So if you don't have Soothe, then just ignore this one. But what I like to do is also create some EQ space by using Soothe as a sidechain. What you can do is put that Soothe on the lead group, turn on the sidechain, and then as a sidechain input, we choose the vocal group. And what this will do is just carve out the vocal out of the EQ, and you will see it coming in. Now you also noticed when I overdo it, we get some dirty phasing. But if you use it on the soft mode and then just a few dB, you can see the dBs right here. That is very easy to create room for that vocal to stand out. And in this case, it's just carving out exactly those frequencies of the vocal. So it's only carving away what should be carved away. It's a bit like Track Spacer, but a lot more precise. And I'm a big fan of this. It's really exactly on the frequency instead of just cutting out a whole range. So definitely try that out. You can also do that with Pro Q4 with the spectral mode. So if you have that, that also works. But my preference is Soothe. So put things louder or make room for them. It's a big difference. So I would always try to lower levels instead of gaining stuff to stand out. Issue number 4 is having too many layers in a track doing the same kind of thing. It happens very often that people contact me like, hey, I cannot get my lead right. I already added 15 layers and it's still not correct. Well, that is the answer. Way too much stuff going on. You can probably eliminate half of that. Try to really zoom out and see which layers can I mute and which are just not adding anything but noise or making it more muddy. I'm not saying you cannot build leads with a lot of layers, but I'm just saying if you have a problem going on, you cannot get it right, then usually the best way to go is to eliminate what can be eliminated, make it easier for yourself, see what you can mute, throw that stuff out there, you don't need it. I think my most layered lead will maybe have 7 or 8 layers, and that's, in my opinion, really a lot. They're all doing something. If it's not needed, then I will mute it. It will only add more junk and make it more difficult to balance the lead. So again, just like with starting the Mixdown and building a system, I would also say in this case, try to zoom out, focus on what's there and what should not be there. And what should not be there has to be thrown out. You don't need it. It will only make it more difficult. Mistake number 5, and this is my least favorite one, is using spatial wideners or stereo enhancers. I really hate those kind of things because people use them way too often. And in my opinion, it's really a thing that really can screw up your mix. Let me just demonstrate how it would sound if I would do it over the top. Now I'm putting it on the lead group. Usually people will put this on the whole spectrum, so on the whole lead. And they would do something like this. Now you can hear right away it's causing all sorts of issues. It first of all doesn't sound nice. It gives that phasing kind of feel, like you're in some weird kind of room, basically. It's causing issues. Usually on mono, the track will sound horrible because you're pulling your whole reverb, your delays, everything. You're pulling it all to the sides, creating a fake stereo. Don't do that. Make your mix appear wider by using some clever mixing techniques. You could place things in the mix, left and right. You could use auto panning plugins to, for example, have a pluck go left to right in the background using ping pong delays that are wide. Use a good reverb that's very big and wide on its own without having to create more wideness afterwards. Be really mindful of that, because that's the thing I see a lot, especially in when I'm mixing or mastering tracks from upcoming producers. Usually, I would say in 6 or 7 out of 10 times, there is some kind of spatial thing going on, and I can spot it right away. I'm like, throw away that plugin, remove it from your computer, and don't touch it again. Just be mindful of that. Don't do it over the top. If I would do it, I would do maybe 2K and up, so just a little bit for the high end, so like this. But even that I would try to avoid. If it's not needed, I will not do it. I'm just not a fan of those things, because they're just emulating some kind of thing that can be easily too much and be, yeah, I would not call it dangerous, but could be dangerous to your mix to really mess it up. And I'm just like I mentioned a lot of times, less is more. If something is not needed, I will just not do it, and I will not create room for mistakes or artifacts by making a ugly stereo field. So not a fan of those. Try to avoid them, and if you use them the least amount that you need. All right, guys, those were 5 mistakes. I will stop calling them mistakes. 5 things that could be improved in a lot of mixdowns and that are maybe making things a bit harder than they need to be for you. So I hope this was useful. Please let me know in the comments if you have any other tips yourself that you do during your mixdowns that people might learn from. Would be great to help each other out in the comment section. As always, if you have any suggestions for other videos, please let me know. It's always good to get some ideas. Check byteaudioworks.com if you need any help with your mixdowns, mastering, online coaching, or any of that kind of stuff. Hit me up over there. And for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.